Our fears and anxieties are mapped out in multiple places in our human design chart. One of those places is our predominant circuitry. We have three different kinds of circuitry in our chart that govern how our energy flows and impact some specific areas of our lives. Many of us are more weighted in one area of this chart. Some of us have a balance of two or even all three. Understanding how your circuitry works and having awareness around the fears that might be sabotaging your business related to the circuitry is an important step in deconditioning this part of your chart so you can be on purpose, fulfill your potential, and make the impact that you are here to make. In today's episode, I'm covering the fears associated with the three major circuits of the human design chart, how they can impact your business, and what you can do about it. I'll share what the circuits are, and I'll also let you know how to tell which circuits are predominant for you. Welcome to Heart-Centered Human Design, Emotional Intelligence, and Conscious Business, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs that want meaningful success and work-life balance so they can wake up every day feeling empowered, inspired, and supported by work and life. I'm your host, Vanessa Naja, human design specialist and coach. I truly believe we all came here to do something special and unique that only we can do. And being on purpose, fulfilling your potential is something that I am absolutely committed to helping you do. If you're interested in exploring this work further, I'll let you know at the end of the episode how we can do that together. This is one of those episodes where it is really helpful to have your chart with you while watching or listening. And don't worry, if you're listening on the go and you can't look at your chart right now, you'll likely recognize your predominant circuitry as you listen. And you can always check your chart later to see which circuits have the most definition for you. If you don't have a chart, you can get one for free at vanessanaja.com/free chart. Link is in the show notes. And because having a visual is extremely helpful, if you are listening, check out the link in the show notes to the Instagram post that shows where all the circuits are in your chart. If you're watching, I'll include a visual of the circuit on the screen, and if you're only able to listen, I'll include which channels and gates are in each circuit. Circuits are energetic pathways in the chart that are associated with specific themes. The gates and channels in your chart are each part of a specific circuit and are responsible for a specific aspect of that circuit. The overall theme of each circuit plays out through each gate and channel in that circuit. There are three major circuits in the human design chart: the individual circuit, the tribal, and the collective circuit. They're composed of smaller sub-circuits as well, but we're just going to focus on the three major ones. You can think of the circuits like the electrical circuits in a house. You have the individual circuit that can power your individual spaces like the bedroom or the bathroom. The tribal circuit, which powers the communal spaces like the kitchen, living room, and dining room. And then the collective circuit, which connects your house to the main power grid, which powers the entire neighborhood and community, and really the entire city. We all likely have activations in all of the circuitry, but we're often more weighted in a certain area. The places where you have the most channels is where you're most heavily weighted. The circuits of the gate in your incarnation cross are also very significant here, even if they don't form a channel. And your incarnation cross, if you're looking at your chart, the top two numbers on the right and the left, those are the gates of your incarnation cross. We will all experience the fears of these circuits at some point, depending on our design, our conditioning, and our environment. We can pick these fears up from others, or they can be activated by planetary transits. So if all the little details of the circuitry don't make sense to you, or you don't know what circuits you have activated, do not worry. You'll get something just out of learning about how these fears work, how they can show up, and what you can do about it. You can always come back to this episode at a later time with your chart in hand if you want to dive deeper into your defined circuits. So just a brief overview of the circuits. The individual circuit is about bringing change. It's about self-empowerment and empowering others by being your authentic self and bringing the change you're here to bring. The tribal circuit is about supporting your loved ones, your family, and your direct community through connection, nurturing, providing resources, and making sure everyone's needs are met so the tribe can thrive. And the collective circuit is about the bigger picture, the collective as a whole. This is where we look at the patterns of the past, we use logic to apply them to create a better future, and also where we share about what we have learned through our own individual experiences so that others can learn from them as well. So starting with the fears of the individual circuit. People that have a lot of individual circuitry are here to bring change and mutation to the whole. They're often very ahead of their time with the change they bring. They may have really innovative, unusual ideas, out-of-the-box things that they bring forward. And they're also very much about self-empowerment and empowering others through being themselves and the changes that they bring. People with individual circuitry can fear being judged as selfish and also being rejected for their innovative ideas. They may fear being different, not being accepted, not able to bring the change that they're here to bring. In business, this can show up as not taking the actions that your strategy and authority are calling for because you're afraid of rejection or judgment. It can also have you conform to what others want or what you think others want. It can have you trying to fit in, and this can take you very far off of your purpose and off of your path. It can prevent you from bringing the changes that you're here to bring to the tribe and the collective through the individual mutations that you have to share. Now, the way that you want to overcome this, if you have a ton of individual circuitry in your chart, is to remember that you are not here to fit in. You are here to stand out, to empower yourself, and simply by doing that, empower others by aligning with what is true for you and bringing the change you're here to bring. It's so important for you to remember this. You are here to be different. Human design, deconditioning work, and basically any kind of personal development work, which pretty much all personal development is a form of deconditioning. So the one that calls to you is what you want to be working with to decondition all of these fears and also follow your strategy and authority, because that is always key in human design, in the deconditioning process, and in following your path and being on purpose. If you have any of the following channels or gates that form the channel, you have activations in the individual circuit. The 6124 connecting that to the ajna, 4323 connecting ajna to throat, 2057 connecting throat to spleen, 2838 connecting spleen to root, 3955 connecting root to solar plexus, 2212 connecting solar plexus to throat, 18 connecting throat to the G center, 214 connecting G center to sacral, the 5125 connecting the ego center to the G center, the 1034 connecting the G center to the sacral, the 1020 connecting the G center to the throat, the 1057 connecting the G center to the spleen, the 2034 connecting the throat to the sacral, or the 3457 connecting the sacral center to the spleen. This is a big circuit and has a lot of activations in it. So moving on to the tribal circuit. The tribe depends on its members to work together for the good of the whole. And in order to survive, everyone has to do their part. Now, one of our oldest fears is the fear of being outcast. Because in the old days, if you were cast out of the tribe, it was very likely that you would not survive. So this is a very deep subconscious fear that we all share to a certain degree. And if you have a lot of tribal activations, then this could be even more intense for you. This can show up often as the fear of what are our friends, family, colleagues, what are they going to think about what we're doing in our life and in our business? And when we buy into these fears, we can lose our focus and purpose through approval seeking, hiding out, not sharing what you do online or on social media because you're afraid of what they are going to think. And worst case scenario, what if you get outcast or, in today's terms, canceled by them? And the way to overcome this, as always, you want to follow your strategy and authority and do your deconditioning work. You also want to find the right communities for you. Finding other people that are doing similar things, have similar goals, or even the same fears which they're committed to overcoming. Being in those communities can be so helpful and healing. When you're part of a tribe like this, you can use the strength of the tribal support system to support each other through the ups and downs. Tribal energy is very much about relationships, so being selective about the relationships you form and the tribes you belong to is important. And remember that you cannot please everyone. You are not meant to. It is completely possible that you're going to have family members or others in your community disapproving of what you do. And remember that this is not about you. This is about them. Their disapproval, their judgment is about them, not you. And as you condition with human design, you will see this for what it is. And even though it might always still sting a little bit, when it happens, you will also know that you can handle it no matter what. And it is part of your learning and growth that helps you fulfill your purpose. Knowing what your mission is, knowing what your purpose is, and really committing to that is so important in overcoming any of these fears that keep you stuck in your business. If you have any of the following channels or one of these gates that form the channel, you have activations in the tribal circuit. So the 2750 from the spleen to the sacral center, 59.6 from sacral to solar plexus, 1949 from solar plexus to root, 5432 from root to spleen, 4426 from spleen to the ego, willpower, or heart center. It's going to have any of those names on your chart. The 2145 from, again, ego, willpower, heart to the throat, and the 3740 that goes from the ego, willpower center to the solar plexus. Moving on to the collective. This circuit is about sharing the patterns and experiences that are in the collective. It's a social circuit that deals with logic and patterns that help predict the future so we can create a better future based on those patterns and that logic. And it also deals with past experiences that we have learned from. Social media is a big collective medium, as is podcasting, which is what I'm doing right now. Science and history are part of the collective circuit as well. So some fears that can come up around this collective circuitry, and specifically the logical part of the circuit, include not being able to explain yourself logically, your logic or opinions being questioned or criticized, and fear of criticism is huge in this circuit. This can also include the fear of being questioned by authority, like someone that you think knows more than you or is an authority in some way, shape, or form, saying that you don't know what you're talking about or questioning what you're doing. Doubt also lives in the collective circuitry, as well as the fears around your own self-doubt and other people doubting you. In business, these fears can hold you back from sharing your truth for the fear that someone will judge or criticize or try to disprove you in some way. You may not share what's coming through for you because it's not necessarily something that can be proven. It can keep you from putting things out there because you judge them as not good enough and you're afraid of the opinions of others. There's also a lot of perfectionism that lives in the logical part of the circuit. And it's that need for something to be perfect before you put it out there. And that might mean that you're never going to put it out there because it's never going to be perfect. With this circuit, it is so important to not turn doubt in on yourself and to do the necessary work to overcome perfectionism. Because perfectionism will always keep you stuck. There is no such thing as perfect. So learning to be satisfied with good enough while striving for excellence and then putting your work out there is far superior to never putting anything out there at all because it's not perfect. You cannot have a business if you're not putting anything out there, and you want to know that with repetition, you are going to get better and better. You cannot wait to start until you are perfect. Like I said, you're never going to be perfect. You want to start where you're at, do your work, put it out there, commit to repeating it over and over and continuing to refine your process over time. Strive for excellence, not perfection. And remember that your work is for your audience, your people. It is not for everyone. So there might be criticism. There's going to be people that don't like it. There may be judgment, and that's okay because those people are not your people, and their judgment and criticism is not about you. It is about them. Oftentimes, those haters are just people that are too afraid to do their own thing, and that's why they're criticizing yours. So don't let anyone keep you from sharing your purpose and your work with the world. There's also an emotional component to collective circuitry, and there can be a lot of expectation around what you hope will happen. The fear of not meeting those expectations, your own expectations, or the expectations of others lives here. and the fear of not being able to handle the disappointment that can go along with quote-unquote failed expectations or unmet expectations. There's also the fear of not being excited about things or getting bored. There's a huge potential for the fear of boredom here. And again, this can keep you from sharing your work with the world at all when you can buy into these fears. And also when it comes to the fear of boredom, this can have you jumping ship the second things get slightly unexciting, and also the possibility of leaping into chaos because you want new experiences when you're bored. As always, when it comes to overcoming these fears and knowing what direction to go into, you really want to be sure to be following your strategy and authority to know which projects are correct for you. Your strategy and authority, when you are really aligned with them, will also let you know when it is actually the right time to quit, if that's what is meant to happen. Your strategy and authority can also help you know when to put your project out there, where to share your brilliance with others, and who your people are. Doing the deconditioning work that helps you step into the highest frequency of your design is where you're going to be the most impactful and where your work will make the biggest difference for others. If you have any of the following channels or one of the gates that form the channel, you have activations in the collective circuit. The 6447 or 63-4, which go from the head to the ajna center, the 1762 or 1156, which go from the ajna to the throat center, the 731 or the 1333, which go from the throat to the G center, the 515 or 2946, which go from the G center to the sacral, the 5342 or 952, which go from the sacral to the root, the 1858, which goes from the root to the spleen, the 1648, which goes from the spleen to the throat, the 4140 from root to solar plexus, or the 3536 from the solar plexus to the throat. So there you have the fears that might be holding you back in your business coming through your circuitry. If you want to dive deeper into this together and overcome those fears and get more clarity on how to proceed in your business, I invite you to check out Emotional Intelligence by Design, a program where we work together to really help you step into the highest frequency of your design so you can be on purpose and fulfill your potential. You can find out more about that at vanessanaja.com/emotional intelligence, and I will also link it in the show notes. And be sure to check out the Instagram post that includes images of the circuitry that I just talked about and a summary of the fears. And while you're there, be sure to like and follow while you're at it. I would love to hear how this landed for you. So if you are on a platform where you can share or comment, please let me know. Was there anything that stood out for you? Where are your most predominant circuits, and do you associate with those fears? I would love to hear this, so please share your thoughts. If you're not somewhere where you can share, you're not listening to somewhere where you can comment, please hit me up on Instagram at @HDVanessaNaja. Send me a DM. I would love to connect with you and hear how this landed for you. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next episode.